And so when I speak to people and when I offer certain things, it's like I've actually gone through the journey in the wilderness to really better understand the depths of our nervous system and understand our authentic emotions and what all these different sensations and ideology and belief systems that are created in our minds.
In this episode, we'll learn how to lift ourselves, open the door to emerge from the cave, and understand how our biology concerning trauma and past experiences is very crucial. An energy healing specialist and founder and podcast host of Lift OneSelf is helping us with these topics. Welcome to the show, Natalie. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Toby. Thank you for such a beautiful introduction. I'm looking forward to this playful conversation.
Thank you so much for joining me for a Soulful Conversation. I've been looking forward to speaking with you. And I'm so happy that right from the time we got on this call, we talked about different other topics and we were able to flow. And I was like, okay, looking at the time, I'm like, yeah, we have to record it. We have to record right now before the time is fast spent. That's been so wonderful speaking with you. And I'm looking forward to learning, especially starting out from your journey. While preparing for this conversation, I found out that you had this experience of facing a life-threatening illness, and also you have the challenges of single parenthood, and
Yes.
that's a lot for a person. So I don't know if you'd like to share this, maybe starting out with the life-threatening illness and how you were able to go through that process, and even the single parenthood at the end.
Yeah. So 10 years ago, I was starting to get really ill and not feeling well. And I kept going to the doctors, and they kept just, my family doctor would send me to the hospital, and the hospital would just tell me it was the influenza. Yet more and more, my body kept shutting down, and to the point where I wasn't able to leave my bed and I was filled with pain. And after the fifth visit to the hospital, the emergency room, they did an MRI and they discovered that I had lesions in my brainstem and in my cerebellum. And from the lesions, they gave a prognosis that, you possibly only have 3 to 6 months to live. So, I was left in the hospital for almost 40 days going through a battery of tests because they had no idea what was causing the lesions. And if medical system doesn't know what's going on, then you go through some very painful testing. So it almost feels like Frankenstein. I had biopsies, I had spinal taps, I had radiation put in me. And so in that experience, I really had to do a surrender and an acceptance and have a different relationship with how I saw death and really have a front seat to the nervous system and how we interpret things and what goes on internally of chemical releases and belief systems and what the fear feels like and anxiety. And so in that, I was actually transferred to another hospital because they were going to do a biopsy of my brainstem. Yet the doctor had said, pause. We're not going to do that because everything that we're doing right now is coming back atypical, yet it's not giving us enough information to give a diagnosis of what is causing these lesions. And if we take a piece of your brainstem, we could do more damage and still have no information. So I was released from the hospital without a diagnosis. So that means without a plan, because not knowing how to navigate through what's going on.
Mhm.
So I really had to learn how to create a new lifestyle for myself. As you mentioned, I'm a solo parent. So the twins were 4 at the time, and my oldest was 19. And my mother was actually living with me also. So thankfully, I had, a small village that helped me with the twins. And I had to learn really quickly of listening to my body and energy because the energy would just turn off like a light switch. If I had too much stress in my experience, which, once you come to understand what stress is very healthy, yet there's a lot of psychological stress and emotional stress that we create within ourselves. And we don't know how to acknowledge to feel actually our authentic emotions. And so I went through the process of really getting underneath the layers that I've created as a mask and really removing those masks to really understand myself and not the image that I was trying to portray outside. And also understand the trauma that I had experienced as a child that created this defense mechanisms for me not to be in my vulnerability, for me not to be in my sensitivity. And so going through that journey was very painful. It was very challenging. And most of all, it was very messy. The one thing that I want to, create the message for healing for people is allow yourself to be messy. There's no perfection in this. There's no linear of everything's going to go in a straight line. You're going to do some steps forward. You're going to do a lot of steps backwards. You're going to go up. You're going to go down. We're in a world that doesn't allow emotions to be in our conversations. Like just the simplicity of saying, I feel afraid. I'm in fear. We're told that fear is so repulsive and it's either love or fear, and you can't have the two, where it negates your nervous system because your nervous system has one function: don't die. Yet your nervous system is also recording experiences that cause pains that feels like death. So it can't differentiate the two. Like say if you got fired, or say if you broken up from a relationship, say that somebody else died and you're going through the grief. That feels like a death. And your nervous system can't relate to that. So it's trying to, protect you. And so in my journey, thankfully, I learned meditation. And meditation brought me profoundly into regulating my nervous system to somatically release a lot of stored emotions and energies that were in my body to better understand myself and not always be in the defense and protective mechanisms of the nervous system. Where people hear about people pleasing or workaholics, or they're addicted to certain substances to try to alleviate the pain. I was willing to face the pain and face the fear and go through it so that it could dissolve and no longer try to soothe myself from feeling these things, that I was safe to feel them. And at first, it's really overwhelming and it's awful. When I learned the meditation too, in the form of TM was the first method that I learned, which is transcendental meditation. They tell you to cultivate a quiet spot and meditate 2 times a day, first in the morning and at night for 20 minutes. And as I said, I'm a solo parent to twin boys. Where are you hearing silence in that?
Perfect.
So I brought the meditation in the living room when they were fighting, listening to TV, playing, being rambunctious, being curious, being children. I got to see how the nervous system tries to control things of your surrounding because it feels unsafe, that it's always trying to interpret and analyze. Yet while doing that, I was able to bring back the nervous system and be, no, that's not our business. We're here to just stay grounded in our breath and let things pass by. And whatever really needs our attention, then we will be alerted that, there's danger. Yet a lot of times, for parenting, as I tell my clients and anybody that's willing to listen, I believe the highest spiritual practice you could learn about yourself is through parenting, because your children show you a mirror of yourself that you may not want to see or want to feel. And a lot of times we'll project and blame and be shut it down rather than be curious of what is it that's coming up in me that they're showing me that I haven't engaged with. So for me, for instance, they're twins and I'm an only child. So when they would fight, I couldn't understand the sibling rivalry because I didn't have that in my experience. So I always was trying to pick the villain and the victim, where it's like, but that's their relationship, and stop interfering in it, which was really challenging. It's still challenging for me. There's always, when somebody's fighting, finding the one that's the victim to try to rescue them and all this, where it's like, no, no, no. Let's see where the two, not picking one or the other and not choosing sides, really seeing the whole of the experience of what's going on. And so it really allowed me to go more profoundly in the traumas and the wounds that I had created within my nervous system so that I could reshape it and have safety in my body.
Yeah.
And once I started doing that, things kept coming back online. So there was a homeostasis in my body that all of my systems were communicating again. Because I was given a prognosis that I wouldn't walk, I wouldn't be running, I wouldn't be driving, I wouldn't be communicating. So by doing the meditation and doing my inner work, a lot of things came back online, which, the surgeons and the neurologists were all like, I don't know how it happened and I don't know how it's reversing. Yet it sounds like you've done some mindfulness and keep doing that. And, it's a little frustrating because I was explaining to the medical system my experience, yet they weren't willing to listen to it. They were just, well, continue on because it's working for you. And I'm like, well, wouldn't you want to know more to help heal other people so that they can go into their healing process? Yet they weren't, the system has its own way of teaching. So, and, a lot of times people ask me what was better, the medical system or meditation. I'm like, they were both needed. Like I had to go through the medical system to see certain things about myself, see certain things about the medical system. And meditation just brought a more profoundness of really understanding my nervous system and regulating it and being able to come into the community of our nervous system. Because as we're speaking right now, yeah, I'm using language, yet the vibration of my tone is regulating your nervous system. So we're co regulating. So our nervous systems are communicating in such a profound way that our language cannot even speak it. But you're receiving certain downloads from what you're feeling from the frequency of the tone of my voice and our nervous systems, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for sharing that experience that you went through and how you were able to come out of it, by meditating. And that makes me even much more curious to find out, what kind of meditation. Because in the course of recording this podcast, I've learned a lot about meditation, different practices, different ways about going about it. So I'd really like to learn about your own process.
And, I want to remove this stigma around meditation. A lot of people think that they're not supposed to have thoughts when they're meditating. Just for a lot of people think that meditation is to quiet the mind and not have thoughts, when actually that's not accurate. The mind is going to create thoughts. If it didn't have thoughts, then you'd be brain dead. It's that you no longer identify with those thoughts, that you go into a regulation so that the nervous system isn't overriding your awareness of trying to find safety for yourself, that you are that safety. So, as I said, the first meditation that I learned was transcendental meditation, which it gives you a kind of sound so that it distracts the mind. Yet I have evolved of doing vipassana, of being in the breath. And so if you'll allow me, I'll guide us into a meditation so the listeners can actually be in real time of what this meditation and grounding yourself in the breath can feel like.
Yes, gladly. Oh, nice.
Okay. So, Toby, I'll ask you to get comfortable and you're going to close your eyes.
Yes.
And you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out through your nose. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to bring the awareness of watching the breath go in and out through your nose. There may be some sensations or feelings coming up in the body. It's okay. Let them come up. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist and just be. Be with your breath. Drop into your body, keeping your awareness on your breath. There may be some thoughts or memories that are popping up, and it's okay. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath, creating a space between your awareness and your breath and those thoughts. Let them pass through, not being tangled in them. Just continue staying with your breath and dropping deeper into your body, allowing yourself to just be dropping deeper into your body. Again, if there's any thoughts or memories that popped up, it's okay. Gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Continue focusing on your breath and dropping deeper into your body. Now, while still staying with your breath at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while still staying with your breath. So that was not even 2 minutes of being able to regulate and just be with your breath. Yet, when you're highly activated, that can feel like a really difficult process. And I know a lot of times people hear, just breathe. And it's like, I'm already breathing. Don't tell me to just breathe. What's missing is to bring your awareness to your breath. It's because autonomically, if you weren't breathing, you wouldn't be alive. So you just take it for granted that your body's already breathing. It's to bring your awareness to your breath because your breath is always in the moment and it never leaves you. So it helps you to come back into your body. And, as you heard the prompts of there's going to be some sensations or feelings coming up in your body, a lot of us are from the neck up. We don't want to feel anything from the neck down. So we're kind of numb to our body and we don't listen to the signals and things that are going on in our body. Yet when you can start allowing yourself to feel and acknowledge what emotions and what sensations, then there's more of a depth of a connection with your body. And that's where you can be with your intuition. That's where you can be with the earth and the vibrations and different energies and be in, as they say, different dimensions of not just being from the neck up and trying to be in your head, trying to control things. Where it's like, no, drop into your body and listen to the guidance that is within you already. You have a purpose and life is here to serve you, not be against you. And so that breath is your anchor to ground yourself, to feel whatever emotions that you need to feel and feel an openness instead of constriction inside your body. And just, when you can do that several times a day, and a lot of times people only go to the breath when things are going wrong. It's going to the breath even when you're in excitement, exhilaration. So you can teach your body that it's okay to be in these states. Because unfortunately, a lot of times when people have experienced trauma or significant pain, there's an aversion to joy. They don't know how to allow themselves to feel joy because they feel like it's going to be taken away from them. So it's better to just be numb to it and not feel that disappointment. Yet when you're not feeling joy, you're not feeling the depths of feeling alive and to be living. Yet, physically, it feels like a threat to allow yourself to be in that because some people have been harmed when they've been in a joyful state. So their body has recorded that if I go into joy, something bad is going to happen. Where you feel like the other shoe is going to drop or it's too good to be true. Those sensations are really real because your nervous system's trying to protect you. Yet it's for you to go into your system, into your body and tell it, you're safe to feel this. And you're safe to, be curious of allowing it to open up some more. And if that there is, and there possibly will be pain because you cannot go through life without pain, that you'll find the resources and tools to be able to not separate from self and navigate through whatever the experience is. And, I understand saying this is, yeah, it's easy for you to say. And it's like, well, I've walked the talk that I'm speaking. And so it's not any kind of theory or telling you what a textbook is. I'm speaking from my own lived experience that I continuously have to go through. So it's like, I understand where sometimes people are giving us certain information, but when you ask them, when have you applied it in your own life? And they're like, well, I didn't have to. And it's like, well, how are you offering something that you haven't actually applied in your own life? And so when I speak to people and when I offer certain things, it's like I've actually gone through the journey in the wilderness to really better understand the depths of our nervous system and understand our authentic emotions and what all these different sensations and ideology and belief systems that are created in our mind.
Yeah. Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, and just that short session helped a lot to just, bring me back into my center, into my core, and it's really helpful. Would you say this kind of breath work also helps with energy healing? I mean, once we're able to
Oh,
practice it
yeah.
over time. Yeah.
Yeah, because, when you're not allowing yourself to feel your authentic emotions, it's being stored inside your body. So your nervous system's trying to protect you. Okay, you can't feel this, so let me push it down. So it's creating a lot of energy to suppress that feeling. Whereas if you were to just feel it, acknowledge it, and let it go, a lot, like you said, it brought you back to your core. So you weren't even aware that there were certain things that were distracting you or taking your attention away, that you could just be. Because we're conditioned that we have to be in doing. Just being is like, oh no, there's nothing productive that can come from that. So when you are allowing yourself to be in the being, you're able to listen to your body. And so there's a lot of energy that's released that is no longer, using the full capacity. Because neural energy, just to produce thoughts, takes a lot of energy. Just to, like, problem solve or try to think of things, it's like, okay, that takes a significant amount of energy. So if you're not even able to be honest with yourself, you're running and looping in all these scenarios that aren't serving in real time of what you need to do and what is required of you. And you're not even able to give the presence to other people because you're so concerned with hiding your own emotions or running away from your emotions that you're not able to hold space and presence with others that are around you. So that's where grounding ourselves in our breath and allowing our body to release whatever suppression and feelings that may be in there and emotions that are stored, that we can let it go so that there's an opening and there's a vast abundance that we're able to tap into.
Yeah. Wow. But when you talked about when you were leading us through that meditation process, you talked about okay, those thoughts, those feelings, emotions that could be coming through or be coming to your mind right now, just allow them to be and let them pass or flow. And one thing I just thought about right now when you talked about energy healing and how breath work helps us with energy healing is sometimes these past experiences, past trauma that we might have experienced might come back to us as thoughts, or maybe some grief that we've not processed fully well could come back and, I don't know, maybe become fresh or renewed again, or renewed again in our minds. So I just want to know what can we do when those kind of things come back? How do we process the grief? How do we process the thoughts, the feelings, the past trauma so that maybe by the time we're doing the breath work the next time, we become better and we don't suffer from the grief or from the past trauma?
Yeah, it's acknowledging it.
Mm.
Because a lot of times we want to have it in our head, I don't want to feel this stuff anymore. Like I should be over this, or this shouldn't be here anymore. Where your body needs to release. And a lot of times we feel our secondary emotions. We're not feeling our authentic ones because we've been conditioned that they're not good emotions. Like, say, for crying for males, it's very taboo for males to cry because it's like, oh, that's hitting your masculinity,
Mm.
it's hitting your sexuality.
Mm.
And so then you're not really able to do a full release. So then when something comes up, all the stuff is coming up because you weren't able to do the full curve of discharging that emotion. Because as soon as it comes to a certain level, it's like shut off. I can't go any more depths to where it wants to fully release because of the narratives and conditions.
Mm.
So in that, it's being able to face when your nervous system's trying to protect you from feeling your emotions, that you allow yourself to have a surrender. And so that's why I offer the coaching and the energy healing sessions that I have with people, because they're able to anchor into my nervous system and feel a sense of safety that I can feel, and someone can witness me in my authentic way and not push me away. So then I can start relating to myself in a much more profound way.
Yeah.
And so in that, it's having grace and radical compassion for yourself, that when there's, our mind wants to arrive somewhere and there's no arriving. That's why it's called healing, because it's always ongoing, because life will bring you certain experiences that will activate these wounds. So say, I've released a lot of my childhood trauma.
Mm.
Yet say, for instance, one of my children die, all that stuff's going to get activated. Yet I have the tools of, okay, you're here as a visitor that I thought you'd never visit again. I thought I got rid of you.
Mm.
Rather than telling you you're not allowed to come in, I'm going to greet you in, yet I'm going to remember that you're not my safety. I have to create that safety. And I have to create that safety by acknowledging, what am I feeling? What is the vastness of my humanity? Not just bypass and just be spiritual, also allow my humanity to be there and have some grace for myself. It's warrior work. There's no end, there's no I got rid of something. It's all about integration. And so when those visitors come back, you're not, oh my gosh, fire alert. You're like, oh, okay, you're here again. You can relate to it in a different way. Yet at the beginning, it's going to be challenging because you're going through dissolving belief systems and narratives that you've had about yourself, that you thought you had to be something other than who you are. You see, healing, people think it's being a new person, when in actuality, it's removing the layers to get to the great person you already are. That you've just have been buried underneath layers of pain.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's so deep, and that requires a lot of mindfulness, and that's what breathwork helps us with also.
Yeah. It's not no easy task. Like, the simple and more profound things require a lot of work. However, you're worth that work. And it's possible. I'm living proof that it's possible. I went through, like, you haven't even heard all of the challenges that I've gone through in this decade of, navigating through this and navigating through that, and deaths and people passing away and different challenges, where it just gave me more information to be able to relate to people that you're worth going inward to better understand your experiences and what your power is. Stop going on the external to find those solutions and start being curious and trusting yourself. A lot of people don't trust themselves because they've been told that they don't know any better or they don't know what they're doing. Rather than being curious of, well, why do I, explode with anger when certain scenarios, or why do I break down in silence, or why do I shut myself off? Be a mad scientist to not belittle yourself because of the behavior. Go in the undercurrents of, why is it appearing this way? What is it that I'm trying to protect myself from?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Natalie, I've learned so much from you already from this conversation. I've learned about, one thing that stood out to me was when you talked about our feelings. For example, men don't like to cry because it could be an attack to their sexuality or to what society has formed them to be. And you talked about, sometimes what we are feeling could be secondary. What we're actually feeling is underneath. And I mean, already thinking about what I have to do to be able to find out, identify if what I'm feeling right now is actually what I am feeling, or it's just a secondary or an after effect of what is actually going on in my life. Yeah, I believe mindfulness will help me to find that, I believe.
Yes, and radical honesty with yourself. To tell Toby, you're safe to actually reveal what needs to be felt. We can go through this tsunami of new emotions and new levels of sensitivity, because sensitivity feels like a threat, because it doesn't feel safe to be sensitive in a world that's so harsh and harmful and violent. So you have to create these safe spaces that when I'm safe, then I can really engage with my sensitivity. But then, protect it when I go out in the world until I get to a point that I trust myself. And no matter what people say or the experiences, I'm not going to separate from my sensitivity or who I am. But a lot of times we separate from ourselves to be able to navigate this world and to interact with people, because we have to be a certain way to be in connection with them, rather than really trusting ourselves and being who we are and allowing these relationships to dissolve or to transform in different ways.
Yeah.
Because we matter.
Yeah. That's my take home from this podcast episode. I matter, we all matter, we're worth the work, we're worth the journey of going through the healing process of, trusting in ourselves, believing in ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and understanding our nervous system.
Yeah.
Your nervous system was shaped a certain way, and it's being able to understand and not, belittle your experiences. A lot of times when we've gone through pain, we shrug it off like, oh, it was nothing. Where it's like, well, there's a part that needs your validation, and to allow yourself to see it with sensitive eyes and allow it to actually be released. where when we don't, it's always trying to get our attention. And as you said, the secondary emotions, it's those become habits. They're just the default of, I'm just going to feel this way, rather than really surrendering to what am I actually feeling. So
Mm.
you have to break those habits of defaulting, of being irritated or shutting down, or that we're patterns. Like humans just do patterns.
Mm.
So another spoiler for people, like they think, oh, well, my parents were this way, I'll never be this way.
Okay.
Well, I hate to break it to you, it's going to pop up, but it's just going to look different. Yet
Mm.
if you allow yourself to have curiosity, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I did the same thing they did. It just looked a little different. Because that's just, we're pattern makers as humans.
Mm.
And so, unless you're really allowing yourself to be honest and expand your self awareness and allow the messiness, because we're conditioned that we need to be perfect to be accepted in the world. Yet the real work is to be able to see those shadows to better understand so that they don't hijack your behavior. And when you can allow yourself to have that space and not get stuck of always seeing your faults, to also complement the strengths. It's one and the other. It's not one or the other. It's and in both.
Mm.
So it's allowing yourself to see yourself as a whole with a W instead of wholes with an H. So really
Mm.
seeing how everything, it's like with sadness you need joy. They're both the same. With fear and curiosity, they're both the same.
Mm.
Like people want change. Yet if you really want change, understand that fear is going to be activated because curiosity is going to bring you in the unknown and uncertainty.
Mm.
And it's not to be buried by it and make it stop you. It's to allow yourself to use the power of the fear to continue on, that you're safe in this unknown and uncertainty.
Yeah. Use the power to fear to know that you're safe in this unknown and
Yeah.
uncertainty. Wow, Natalie, I've learned so much from you. Thank you so much for teaching me about, using breath work to be much more mindful, to be able to even connect back with myself, and also knowing the importance of our nervous system and how, what we could do to, heal ourselves, our energy also. I really appreciate
Yeah.
this. I would like us to learn about your foundation, what you do with Lift OneSelf. You have a podcast also called Lift OneSelf and all these services that you offer. Can you tell us about them and how we could connect and work with you?
Yeah. So my website's liftoneself.com. That's LIFTONESELF.com. And there you're able to connect with me. I have 15-minute free discovery calls to see if we can work together. The process that I help with my clients is, at the beginning, it's I that's doing the work, then it's we that do it together, and then it's you, so that you're empowered, that you are able to start navigating and using the power within yourself. And what I'm helping is to regulate the nervous system so that you're able to release all these things that have been suppressed inside you. And within that, I have meditations on my website that are free, and I have articles to better understand your experiences. And on my podcast is Lift OneSelf, where I have conversations like you're having to discuss different, modalities of how we can do our healing. Because the main thing that I want with the podcast is to remove the stigmas around mental health. And there's not just one way of doing it. There's several different ways, so that we can connect in more profound ways of understanding ourselves. And it's not just a one size fits all. There's different parts of yourself that are going to need different modalities to be able to engage with. So I just want to create a space that we can create a community of safety. And just like me, everybody else is going through this journey. Yet when I went through my journey, I didn't have the proper mentors. And I want to create that safety for people to be able to better understand themselves and not be in doubt for so long, so that they can come back into trusting themselves, trusting their body, and validating their own experiences, and willing to change some of the patterns and the pain that may have been used as protection, that they can release those things to allow joy and peace and playfulness back in their life.
Yes, that sounds so lovely. Allowing joy and peace and playfulness back into your life. I'm going to place the link to your website in the show notes of this episode to encourage everyone who has listened or who is still listening. So please click on the link on the website. There's a tab where you can click on, which is called podcast, and you can listen to the podcast episode. They are filled with a lot of wonderful conversations or episode that you could learn from. Thank you so much, Natalie. I really appreciate you coming on this podcast today and teaching me so much, and especially taking me through this breath session or breathing session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And as I said at the beginning, thank you, Toby, for being curious and creating this platform so other people can engage in their own healing and learning. So thank you for listening to that tug and following that curiosity and helping so many others, because it's one in a million. You touch one person and that ripples out to a million other people. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hey there, podcast enthusiasts. Are you ready to add a little sparkle to your day? If you're loving the insightful conversations and captivating stories on Mirror Talk Podcast, here's a friendly nudge to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll never miss out on the empowering messages and thought-provoking discussions we bring to your ears. But wait, there's more. We're all about spreading positivity and inspiration, and you can be a part of it too. How? By sharing the love with your friends and family. Share this episode with your loved ones, and let's create a ripple effect of empowerment and growth together. And hey, if you've been enjoying what you hear, why not take a moment to leave us a glowing 5-star review? Your feedback fuels our passion to keep delivering content that resonates with you. So hit that subscribe button, share the love, and leave us a review. Let's keep the conversation going and spread the Mirror Talk magic far and wide. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, your support means the world to us.